When he was going through the whole process of looking at different high schools, I tried to be as objective as I could because I wanted him to go to some place that he was going to be happy. Deep down, I always thought it was going to be prep, but he did look at Regis. He did look at Xavier. And in the end, this was his choice, and I couldn't have been happier for him.
One of the things I'm most proud of is being able to say that I'm class of '83, that I'm a prep graduate. So on my card, I was always so happy to see that, to see the 83 after my name, and for people to recognize that means I'm a graduate. But nothing made me prouder than to be able to add the P11 after the 83 and actually have folks say to me, what does P11 mean? I said, that means my son graduated from St. Peter's in the class of 2011.
We only live across the street, and they had spent their entire lives watching the prep, family and students walk across the courtyard. So they were very excited to go.
My wife was pregnant with my son when we coached in the 2005 state championship game at Giant Stadium against Don Bosco. And that following September, he was in Giant Stadium again. That was as a newborn. So that was his first experience in a prep onesie. And his brother graduated in 2010. His nephew graduated in 2019. So he's been introduced to prep since before he was born. And it's always been, a goal of his to go to prep. And I know that since he's been here, he can't say enough great things about the school.
I've been talking about prep. I graduated here in '99, so I've been talking about prep to him since he was a boy, right, a small boy, and I always kind of put the idea in his head. And I think it's cool that he realizes, right, that the things that I've been telling him for all these years are actually true, right? The culture that it really fosters and cultivates.
We were fortunate. We had two bright sons and a bright daughter, so I better mention. But we had two bright sons, so we knew that they would be challenged academically.
It's funny because I've been here more than 30 years. My son, class of 2011, so he literally grew up in these halls, on the sideline for soccer games with me here in the summers. There was a concern, how would he do in Latin? Would he make the basketball team? Would he miss his friends who were going to other schools? And thankfully, he took prep for all it was worth.
Even the academic rigor, just a whole different way of doing things, way of thinking, a whole different routine. But because he fell in love with prep, he fell in love with really his classes, that he really embraced them.
As soon as he started school, he had long days, right? And we live, in Union County. So just, it was just long days for him.
We looked at prep and we looked at McNair. McNair, they both got in McNair, and we thought that because it was going to be free, that was where they were going to go. But I think when Quinn and Drew decided to go to prep, and they walked across the street, and they counted the steps, 65 steps from my front door to their homeroom class, I think that kind of sealed the deal. And they were late more than times than I'd like to count at this juncture, but yeah.
Getting up very early in the morning, staying here late at night.
It was a transition, but I think it was a necessary one. It allowed him to mature quicker, right? Realizing that he has to control his time better, right? And I think he struggled with some classes in the beginning, but now that he's actually gotten acclimated and he has a little bit more time, he's more structured, so he's doing better in school.
They had good personalities, so we knew that they would make friends.
They came from a very small grammar school, and how would they relate to a much bigger environment? And I think, the first few months it was a challenge, but I think once they got here and made friendships and got comfortable in the academic world and in the athletic world that they were involved with, I think it was easy for them, or easier for them, to really embrace prep as I did when I was a student.
Well, I had high expectations with them coming here. And they lived up to the expectations that we had, and the school lived up to the expectations that we had. And given the fact that I had gone here and I knew the great experience that I had had, the people that I had met, people who had an influence on me, the Caseys, the Di Clementis, the Di Lorenzos, and of course the Azzardos, the Howards, the Mulvihills. Those people really had an impact on me, and I knew that was here, and it turned out true. They had people like Lillis, they had people like Peters, they had Jim D'Angelo, and they also had Azzardo. They had Campion, they had Scabilia.
He's got almost halfway, and I can't believe how fast it's gone. You know, the class of 2024. I can't wait for the next 2 years, and I know wherever college, whatever path he chooses, this will always have a special place in his heart. No doubt, just from hearing him every night at the dinner table. So, looking forward to it. It's going to be kind of bittersweet, but I'm happy for him.
They both ended up going to an HBCU, Howard. Quinn was accepted into Columbia, which was the only school that he applied to. And when he got the acceptance, it was all as a result of the work he had put in at this school. They went to school and they were prepared for the rigors that I don't think most kids were.
With John having the IEP, just wondering, would he have the resources available? Certainly was assured that that'd be the case, and it ended up being the case. And not only did he do really well, he's thriving in his professional life now, and really attributed largely St. Peter's Prep, the foundation that they laid, and also the connections, Father Azzardo looking out for him. And that's something that I don't know if you can get at very many other places.
And I'm always shouting out Prep, right? And people always see me coming to his games and wearing the Prep hats and the gear, and people realize that it's good. It's great to know that you're part of something much bigger than yourself, right? It's great that now all these things that I've been talking to my wife for 20 years and to my son for all these years, right? I think they're experiencing it, and I hope that my son Jaden, when he grows and has a family, he'll do the same for his.
They're further in their education, and I have to attribute a lot of it to what they learned here at St. Peter's. And I have recommended it. I've talked to so many people from the community. Even when we came to the school, we brought a host of young kids from Jersey City that actually ended up going to Prep.
Since he's been here, if you would have told me in 5th or 6th grade that he'd take the light rail every day, I didn't think it would happen.
Part of the experience in coming to Prep, especially when you're coming from the suburbs, is the whole commutation process and how that really forces young men to sort of grow up in many ways.
And then even moments in the car, on the commute to and from Prep, talking about his classes, what he's learning, and I feel proud when he talks about the books he's read, and how much even the vocabulary. He talks about men for others and cannonball moments. So I see him really being immersed and making Ignatian, a Jesuit education, a part of who he is.
There's a level of maturity that they go in with, but come out on the other end just more well-rounded human beings.
But he's grown. The responsibility and the accountability as far as his academics. Never have to worry about him in terms of his work. He's diligent with that. He's become more responsible.
He's risen to the challenge because of what this place has been able to offer him.
He uses his time wiser, right, when it comes to his free periods and going to the Browning Center when he needs some help. So I think it's good for him to realize that the help is there and the time is there, right? You got to just find the right time to do it.
Well, I think independence, number one.
Independence.
The work ethic.
You know, prep was able to instill a work habit and work ethic in these guys that when they hit the college campus, it was easy.
They were always, self-starters, and they did things, but they were a lot more independent. They made decisions, generally good decisions, and they made decisions without hesitation. It gave them a lot of confidence.
It was evident from really when he went to Hap how much he wanted to be here, and even now as a senior, he signed up for some new activities because he said he wants to get as much out of his 4 years as he possibly could before graduation.
The thing that really impresses me about the way St. Peter's does their business, which wouldn't have dawned on me as a student, it's a team sport. And they do a great job of threading that needle of really balancing the idea of keeping an eye on the boys, but also allowing them to grow, allowing them to make mistakes, and finding out who they are.
Meeting the staff, from the teachers, meeting the coaches, from Coach Hansen to Padre, just being around men that wanted to develop human beings, wanted to develop these young guys and turn them into something more than just a student, but a well-rounded, leader in the community. And my sons took hold of that.
But I think just in speaking to coaches and speaking to teachers, they'll have some positive things to say about Jaden and how he carries himself.
But the maturity and just watching him come out of his kind of shy freshman stature to being a man, to being a guy who was happy to talk to anyone who came along, adults and classmates alike.
Yeah, I think one of the greatest growth areas was hearing my son formulate an assessment of prep in completely his own mind and in his own words, aside from my prior experience or what he had heard, and to just say how struck he was by how welcome he was made and by his prep brothers, and what just solid fellas they were. Him just on the way to school one day, driving in the car and hearing that was just one of the greatest things.
Coming in as, freshmen, where going back to when they were in grammar school, they were, big fish in a small pond, getting used to the situation here where you were part of a fairly big community, and the fact that they were able to sort of put together some lasting friendships with people that they met their freshman year and that they're still friendly with to this day. In fact, as Chris said to me on a number of occasions, I had really good friends when I was in college, but they're nothing like the friends that I made here at Prep. And I think Edmund would, echo those same sentiments.
And it just goes to show the kind of individual kids that Prep has, right? Because they push each other.
Certainly lots of reasons to be proud of my son while he was here. Certain things I know, and when he was selecting classes, and I said, "Do you really want to take that many AP classes?" And his line to me was, "Why wouldn't I want to challenge myself?" And I remember thinking, that's pretty cool. I'm not so sure I would have done that when I was a student, and I was pretty proud of the results that he got in those classes. Both of my sons were athletes here at Prep, so it was seeing them compete for Prep in the sports that they represented. In addition to that, at different points when they were honored here at Prep for different things that they did academically, those things really made me proud as a father.
But I think the proudest moment was when my son received the Sheehan Scholar, Quinn. His first class, I believe, to receive that award, and it was magnificent.
Some really wonderfully proud moments, probably in my son's senior year at Prep, having him be part of the band in the spring concert. It was just a great thing to go see, to bring my father to see as well, and the friendships that he made in band.
I can think of two instances that gave me great pride. My son Tim, who graduated in 2003, at the senior awards dinner, he got the award for contributions to the studio, and that gave us a great deal of pride because he was proud of what he had done in there, and he had put in a lot of time. My son Kevin, he was not a willing attendee at St. Peter's Prep, and my wife dropped him off at the first football practice in August, and she was emotional and wondering how our little boy was going to do, and she was thrilled when she came out. He was sitting there with all these kids, and he was in the midst of everything, and he had jumped right into it.
Watching them grow and develop and, really use some of the things that were taught here at Prep in terms of critical thinking and inclusion and those kinds of things really made you proud.
Seeing my son win a Spirit Award has been a proud moment for me. Having him return from Kairos.
The spiritual formation. So the retreat program, which I think most parents would say is one of the defining moments here at Prep. I never had that experience because it just wasn't something that was done to the extent it was here when my boys were here. And I think that was really important for their development. And I think it was also important for me as a parent to see that they were, getting involved in things that were spiritual in nature and really sort of forming their own faith as they, got older here at Prep.
He's just enjoying every minute of it, from the different experiences going to Broadway to playing volleyball, Model UN. He just loves it. So I'm happy for him.
Even now, he's still giving his mom and I like suggestions for, hey, I read this book in this class. You want me to leave it for you when I finish it?
I'm just looking forward to, right? He's a freshman, and I've seen some growth this first year. I look forward to seeing his continued growth along the growth of all of his colleagues and classmates and teammates.
He would tell us that through his involvement in sports and different groups, that my wife and I wouldn't have friends if it wasn't for him. So, a lot of people. And what's really good is some of the people that we met here at Prep, we are able to keep in touch with.
A lot of my very good friends are Prep parents of graduates, recent graduates of Prep. And yeah, I meet, we sit, we have dinner with them. And again, there's that shared bond, in a sense, because of what our sons went through, what we went through as parents, we're family now.
We've made a lot of new acquaintances through football, right? I know, some of the staff members here. I'm cordial with everyone, and I was just in a Zoom call with Coach Hansen, for Prep parents to help the football team. So just getting to know who's there, and we help each other out.
We loved every year. The Christmas party was blocked off on the calendar because it was a great opportunity to socialize with other parents. Some were alums that I knew through my experiences here at Prep. On the board, but a lot of them were, parents who really just had sent their sons to Prep. Obviously, the gala became a big event later on, but there were a number of things like Parents on the Plaza, the farewell to senior parents, that really helped bond us with a number of people who had sons at Prep at the same time. And even to this day, we still socialize with a lot of those folks.
My wife is totally in. She was with the older one, and I think she's become even more with our youngest son. I think, like I mentioned, he's fortunate enough to be a Sheehan kid, so we feel an obligation that we have to give back. So, as many opportunities as we can, we participate in.
So many of the folks that are parents we have a connection with because it is something where generationally Prep parents are a lot of times already Prep classmates or at least Prep grads.
My boys played soccer and tennis, so we met a lot of families and friends that are now friends to this day as a result of the relationships that they built. And staying in touch, I stay in touch with Coach Hansen all the time. I mean, I see him, just walking down the street. I have his, phone number. So he became a good friend simply because of what he was able to impart
The one thing that, has always kept me linked to the school is the impact that it had on my life and a number of lives of people in my family. But I think what I experienced and what my relatives experienced isn't that unique in the sense of that's why there's such loyalty to this institution. People just recall how important this place was in their own lives, their own development. They say prep for life, and I think that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah, giving him his diploma. I am looking forward to it. It's been a great 4 years. Better than I think I ever thought it would be. The growth that he's had as a man of prep, and even the growth and the the relationship of father and son, I think, has grown considerably. This is something that we're going to share for the rest of our lives, and it's such a, again, it's a, using the words gift and blessing, they don't seem like, adequate.
Well, I'm looking forward to our son Liam. He's a pitcher on the baseball team, is a JV pitcher, hoping to earn his way up to the varsity level. Really looking forward to, don't want to rush the time, but looking forward to his graduation, when not only can I walk up with him, but his brother John can escort him up to the stage to gather his diploma. And then going all the way forward to 2028, their youngest brother Gerard. God willing, good health, and everything works out the right way. But those are some of the prep moments that you really can't get anywhere else, that you do lay awake at night and say, wow, that's going to be great. You don't want to rush time. You want to enjoy every last second of it, which we plan to do.
Being allowed to present our sons with their diploma at graduation, and that was an incredibly proud moment for me, just to have them up there and see kind of the culmination of not just 4 years, but really of 18 years of kind of preparation for that moment. Kind of a great time for both of us.
Knowing that my father's uncles had attended prep almost 100 years before, made handing Nate his diploma just a monumental moment. It's just an incredible seeing a circle close. And feeling so much gratitude for all the gifts I know it brought for my son, and those that it brought for me was just a beautiful, almost floating moment, almost unreal, just like a dream.
He's going to be part of the history of this place, and the fact that he'll have a prep diploma, something I don't have. I think is an honor for our family, and again, Sam will be part of this brotherhood of 150 years. I think is awesome. But it's bittersweet because now I won't have my commuting partner next year.
I think one of the amazing things was our children were all born in the Seattle area, and to have my wife say when we moved back to the New York area, oh my gosh, imagine seeing Nate graduate from prep, and then to watch that happen, and to see a whole new generation having a whole different prep experience, but fundamentally still the core beautiful brotherhood experience that it is, was enormous.
The family here accepts people for what they are, and they groom them to be a bit more. It's a lot of pride that we have in this community to be across the street and see. I see a lot of kids now. As I come in and out of my neighborhood, and the kids, the young men that I see are very, very similar to what I saw 6 years ago with my sons and their friends. So I think Prep's doing a fantastic job, and if I could advise, and I have advised other folks to send their kids here, and I will continue to do so. I think it's great.
I think when my wife really sees that this is the right community for my son, and then when my son also feels like, I'm in the right place, I think that's what makes me the most proud, right?
to me, one of the things that encapsulates what St. Peter's Prep is all about, going back to March 9th, 2020, just days before the pandemic would break wide open, we were playing St. Joe's Montvale in the state sectional semifinal, packed house, and I was able to work my way up the hallway through the locker room and get in the back door. And when I got into the gym, I looked across to the student section, and our son Liam, who at the time was a freshman, and he was just screaming his head off and loving life. The gym was packed, and I just thought to myself, what a pure moment, what a pure prep moment. And I just took a picture, and I sent the picture to my wife, and I just wrote, "So blessed, love you." And I think that says everything.